Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Duran, and today we'll be talking about drug abuse, which is related to drug addiction. And to begin, drug addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drug seeking and use that is compulsive despite the harmful consequences. So, why does drug abuse exist today? Well, according to scientists, biology could be a culprit. What I mean by biology being the cause is that individuals may have family history of drug abuse, which would later expose that person to all types of drugs and eventually addiction. So, how has drug abuse become such a national epidemic? Kids are easy to convince at an early age, so being influenced at a young age will lead them towards a path of abuse and addiction, which will lead to drug abuse. So, where does drug abuse occur? Drug abuse occurs all over the world. As drugs have been abused for hundreds of years, the effects have been felt for as much. Addiction can occur, mental illness can occur, and physical incapacitations can occur. But I would like to focus on urban areas where drugs have been known to be distributed more than any other area, especially cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. So there are all types of risks for drug abuse, including individual risks and community risks. People who individually take drugs will experience certain things such as heart failure and high blood pressure and even sometimes death. Drugs such as cocaine, meth, PCP, and marijuana have known to cause these people a lot of harm. Community risks can include poverty and crime. People who spend all their money on drugs won't have any money for anything else. And people who love drugs very bad will commit any crime to get them. I believe that the risks of drugs began when big pharmaceuticals were built and drugs such as Vicodin and Percocet were made. And people take these drugs when they feel, when they feel tired, when they feel pain. They take these drugs to make them feel better. But the side effects do end up harming them even more. And they do end up becoming addicted to these type of pharmaceutical drugs. So drug abuse will sadly never end. Some of the factors that lead to drug abuse are a person's environment, the influence of their peers, mental illness, trauma, and genetics. With genetics, people can create a lack of willpower or self-control, so they're more vulnerable to drugs. With their environment, they may have been raised in an abusive home and led to drugs as an alternative to happiness. With trauma, they may have been neglected or verbally abused when they were young, so now they turn to drugs as well. If someone is mentally ill, then they have a higher risk of taking drugs and becoming addicted. And lastly, the influence of peers, which I believe is very strong. People become very influenced by their peers and will do anything to feel cool or feel part of the group. Some strategies that I believe are very important towards solving drug abuse is educating kids in middle school and high school. Middle school is where kids start getting exposed to these type of drugs with friends and older kids. So I believe that targeting that age group would be very helpful in seizing the control of drugs. Also, healthy behaviors such as physical activities would keep the kids off of drugs and keep their focus on things like basketball and soccer, which would be important as well. And good family bonds, of course. Being raised in a healthy household is very important so that kids won't have to turn to drugs so that they can feel any type of emotion. It is very important to have a very good family and to be raised well. Now, 2 examples of how the problem has been solved in other countries. In Portugal, they don't detain those found with small amounts of drugs. Instead, they offer them therapy, which I believe is very effective in showing people that they won't be detained, but instead helped. And in 2009, the United Kingdom concluded a 4-year experiment where chronic heroin addicts were given daily injections of heroin as part of a treatment program aimed at gradually getting the addicts off of heroin. I think that if hospitals focused on their patients more, it'd be very effective in getting them off of the drug. Now, to further prevent drug abuse, I found this article where George Veidt, who is a medical doctor, did research on 100 hospital-treated heroin addicts through a span of 12 years. When the addicts encountered community supervision, new relationships, and group support, they received a sense of freedom and encouragement to stop doing drugs. So, to further prevent drug abuse, I believe it's important to support those addicted. Now, in my personal opinion, I believe that people with drug addiction problems should definitely receive clinical, mental, and physical support. I don't think they'll ever be able to overcome this addiction on their own. So we as a community need to help them out. And that is it. Thank you.